partner's mother, because that young girl was in duress and was asking to speak to a social worker. And so I personally contacted ICW, and they didn't even speak to the girl. I believe a month later a counselor called. So from that has stemmed a lot of things. My partner, Brett Parker, was living a double life, having multiple affairs. And on October 10th, in the Birch Grove campground, I escaped with my life earlier on October 10th. And then I guess the police had contact with them sometime that day around noon or 1 o'clock due to a fire, a brush fire or something. And by the time I returned to site, I had found, tragically, I had found my partner who had committed suicide.
Okay.
At which time I was with a self-proclaimed, and I cannot stress that enough, homeless advocate, Gina Olbeckson. Gina Olbeckson really should not be helping anybody. She's really been detrimental to everything. She attempted to collect funding without my knowledge and without my consent. When I found out, I was very upset and told her she was not authorized to collect any funds on mine or Brett's behalf.
Okay.
Since then, she's conducted multiple malice acts, including attempting to have the police harass me. In the meantime, on October 19th, professionals were paid by the tribe to assist me, along with others, in removing all of my sacred items and property from my camper, which was my personal property at the campground where my partner took his life. On October 19th, so he passed away on October 10th. On October 19th, I parked my vehicle, my personal property, in the shared storage unit of mine and Brett Parker, which was our shared unit. At Wintergreen Storage, I parked my camper. I'm sorry, not my camper. My camper's been disposed of. Correction. I parked my vehicle, my truck, in the storage unit because Jared Day was very stressed about getting any possessions of his brothers. So I was attempting to remove my personal clothing and make sure that he got whatever Brett's clothes, washer, dryer, he can have it. However, shortly after that, due to the continued harassment, I have now been locked out of said unit, which is a civil matter. I've contacted the Ashland County police over this. They sent the Ashland County deputies because I was just outside the city limits.
Okay.
At which time they advised me that this was a civil matter and that as long as the unit stays locked and nobody accesses it, I cannot call in my vehicle or any of my property stolen. However, once the unit is open, I will be able to call it in tampered with or stolen at that time. Now, I am on the contract for Wintergreen Storage. Nobody else is but me and Brett. This is a civil matter that has to be handled because as far as Brett's possessions or inheritance, there are 3 of us who could be eligible for it. I do not believe Jared Day will have a claim. Me and my partner, Brett, we coexisted and cohabitated. But Brett is survived by his 3 minor children who are in the care and custody of their mother, who I believe is the only other person that will have a claim to Brett's private property, but that is not for me to determine. That is for a judge in a civil matter to determine. Now, in the meantime, on the night of October 10th, Jared Day had, now just to be clear, Brett Parker tried to, his intentions were to kill me and take his own life. But what ended up happening is I ended up escaping and he took his own life. So his brother, Jared Day, has made statements that his wrath will be worse than his brother's, and seeing that his brother attempted to murder me, if his wrath is worse, I believe he's going to kill me. He has access to multiple weapons and is highly trained and has continued harassment on multiple levels.
He is pending terrorizing charges.
Possibly. Pending terrorist charges on CCAP. So there are multiple concerns for my life when it comes to that. In addition to blatant life threats against me, which I have via text as evidence to prove.
Okay.
In addition to that, he has also continued harassment on multiple levels, including but not limited to possible police harassment. So just to give you a little bit of background, while I was arrested for a bogus disorderly conduct charge and being detained on a bench warrant because I could not make my court hearing because I was in Birch Grove campground with Brett being drug poisoned in gas, while I was being held for that bench warrant, multiple deputies there advised me that they had went to school with my partner and that they were really sorry for my loss. So my understanding is that Jared Day has multiple connections within the police department and law enforcement within Washburn that's tied to his family, and he may be exploiting that to conduct unlawful complaints against me. So Jared Day did not try to contact me throughout the entire process of my partner's death, cremation, or funeral services. Recently, after I had the deputies come out and handle things at the storage unit, I was he attempted to contact me via Facebook. I refused to respond because I have been preparing my statement, which is extremely lengthy and has taken me days to work on. I have refused to respond because I am seeking a no contact order due to harassment. In no way do I wish to exasperate or encourage any of his harassment or unlawful conduct and behavior. As this has continued, Gina Olbeckson has went around and made false complaints and false statements against me because I would not let her drive Brett Parker's vehicle and because I would not let her collect money. In the meantime, Ashley Bates has blatantly made false accusations against me for murder and have encouraged other people to make false accusations against me about child abuse. While I am trying to deal with all of these matters, I am locked out of my personal belongings and I cannot leave. I don't even have my own clothes on right now. I'm wearing my former dead husband's jacket from the military and the clothes that my sister here has given me off of her back. I have not been able to take care of myself mentally, emotionally, physically, or even spiritually at this point because the harassment continues to escalate on a daily basis. I am either preparing for police contact or dealing with police contact while I've committed no crimes. Let's see, this leads us up to, that leads us up to the brick provided us a place here as because I have no place to go in the extenuating circumstances. And so we had stayed here. And, that's the other thing. Jared has continued to harass me via third-party contact with David Erling, U-R-L-I-N-G, who was at the hotel last night. And whether it's true or not, I'm in fear of my life and liberty because he is claiming that Jared has reported Brett's car stolen, which Brett's car was abandoned at the campsite. And was rescued by me to be held for the civil matters regarding Brett Parker's estate. Nobody has the authority over that vehicle. This is a civil matter. That's why I am not accessing it or utilizing it until the court handles this matter. So the brick was kind enough to put us in this hotel. My friends and friends of friends understand the extreme duress I've been under since my partner's suicide and the constant harassment, threats against my life, police harassment, defamation of character, false statements being put out there against me, false accusations, which I do not take. I do not take lies regarding murder or sexual abuse of children lightly, and I wish to take action on that as well. So this morning, my friends rallied enough funds because I was working on my statement last night here in their business room up until 3 in the morning or at least 2 in the morning. I'm estimating the time. It was after hours. It was probably closer to 2, but in between 2 and 3 a.m. I was working on my statement to contact y'all to make my complaint against Jared Day, Gina Olbeckson, and Ashley Bates. They had a problem with the printer. So they had me email it to them at the front desk. They had a problem receiving the email. So I stayed up to all hours of the night waiting till I could get a copy of this in my hands to talk to you today.
And I stayed up and I followed up and I got that, and at no point in time
No.
There was no interaction with law enforcement?
Correct. Up until 3 a.m. Before I went to bed, I had not seen any police. No police had came to my room and asked to speak to me about anything. To the best of my knowledge, there were no police here last night, but there may have been after I went to sleep at 3 in the morning. But if there was police here called on me, I definitely was not notified. Nobody came to my room or asked for me or called for me. So this morning, my friends rallied enough money for me to stay in the room one more day so that I would not have to deal with the duress of constantly moving my belongings out of a hotel room, so I could focus on the harassment, the threats against my life, and the defamation of character that's occurring, which has now escalated to public harassment because the Chequamegon Bay Hotel, first of all, refused to accept our payment, claimed that there was police called here last night, and for some reason the woman felt that it was real important to mention that she was from Bad River, which is the community I've been exiled from, who is been participating in the defamation of character by putting false statements out there. So she refused service to us. She refused to give us anything in writing to explain why she refused service. Furthermore, she threatened that she will not be dealing or accepting any more homeless people from the brick because of this incident, because we have money. Now, for the record, that is not my money. That money was rallied for by the people in order to donate for me to have a room here tonight so I could deal with the police all day today on the harassment issues instead. So, I am calling you, first of all, because I wanted to make my complaint against those who are harassing me and making threats against my life and continue to harass me in the public forum, which is now escalated to public harassment and denial of services. Furthermore, I wish to document that service was refused here and why. I can only tell you what the front, Sarah, what's her name? Sarah Paspahala is claiming, which, again, once she stated that the police were here and that she was calling the police, I felt it was very important that I wait for you. I've been waiting for you since I loaded up my car because I've been waiting to talk to you today. But seeing that you did not show up, I called 911 to follow up because I have committed no crime. I have done nothing illegal. I have not participated in any unlawful actions, and I have remained law-abiding. Therefore, if the police have been called on me, I feel like I need to call you and make sure, because I do not wish to be fleeing the scene if y'all are looking for me. So I have concerns that there is a civil metal vehicle that has been reported stolen, which would be a fraudulent claim under all circumstances because I have no way to get it to anybody. Hence why it needs to be handled civilly. All I can do is continue to hold it unless there's been a complaint against me, and then I'm willing to take police advisement on what you would like me to do with the vehicle.
Can I just add one thing about Sarah?
Please add a lot.
I did interact with her, and I asked, I'm like, can we rent the room for one more night? And she was very immediately hostile, and I was like, what's going on? I'm like, can you explain this to me? I'm like, good capitalist just said, like, take our money. And she proceeded to make a lot of classist statements about clearly you're not an emergency and you have money. And I'm like, that's not really for you to determine. I'm like, I don't know why you feel the need to dialogue with me
I'm in
about
emergency.
that right now.
I have nowhere to go.
It was just kind of weird. And I was like, cool. I'm like, can I get that in writing? And she's like, I'm going to call the cops. I'm like, why? I'm like, why are you calling the cops? I'm like, go ahead, call the cops. And she's like,
We have remained
like,
peaceful
okay.
and respectful.
So I was, and then she proceeded to tell me that people felt uncomfortable. And I'm like, why are people uncomfortable? I'm like, I saw an old white dude open carrying a firearm. No one said anything about that. I'm like, I would be more concerned about that.
Oh, she's concerned because David Erling had borrowed me Yes, he had borrowed me an axe to cut wood in order to have a ceremonial fire for my partner.
Right, which is fair, and I tried to dialogue with her about that. I'm like,
and it was sheathed.
I'm like, can we dialogue about this?
It actually has it was a really nice high quality tool, not a weapon. It is a tool for wood, and it was fully sheathed to the best of my knowledge when he left here.
And I'm not opposed to people open carrying either. I was trying to explain that to her. I'm like, I don't know how this is different than this. I'm like, either it seems like an issue of classism or prejudice.
I also returned his mittens.
She returned his mittens, and then she proceeded to be like, I'm from Bad River. I'm like, I don't know why that's relevant. I'm like,
it's relevant because that's where the harassment's coming
from. What I'm getting at is we had, it seems to be some sort of personal, nepotistic, or connected to some family of a family of a family, causing some drama that it shouldn't matter. And like, we don't know this person, but they seem to have opinions about what we're doing and refused us service based on nothing. And we had pretty good interactions with everybody else here. And we're following up with you because we were informed that the cops were already called. And we're like, okay, well, let's dialogue with the police.
Right, because in no way do I intend to flee the scene or avoid any investigations because
mind if I take
I'm
this
a
off?
law-abiding citizen.
So,
I do not mind, especially if you just kind of keep your social distance, because I am trying to practice social distancing,
And
so we're good.
And we did happily, and I reminded them of that. I'm like, we will happily move her. I don't mean to. And I didn't mean to laugh at the lady that was helping us. I just really didn't understand the conflict. I didn't understand the conflict. And we tried
So
to
we peacefully loaded everything up and continued to wait for the police.
Right. And they
Oh yes, and then I went in to ask her if she could please clarify what her denial is to me directly so that I could turn around and explain it to you because I'm the one who wants to make the report.
Right.
At which time they locked the door while I was sitting here waiting for y'all.
So there's something else going on here. I don't know what it is, and they wouldn't explain it to us.
So I don't know what to do. I'm calling y'all to see how you'd like me to proceed at this point.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of information you gave us right off the bat.
I would like to also make a report against Jared Day, Gino Bexon, and Ashley Bates, and Heather Oja, and Danielle Lemieux for harassment.
We're in the process of filing a restraining order.
Oh, yeah? Okay, and that's, you got the paperwork from the clerk of
We
court,
have
so-
complaints written up. And we
I
have
wrote
to
down,
go-
I was working on my affidavit until 3 in the morning. I did not see any police come here, or 2 in the morning, I can safely say.
There was no cops.
I did not see any police, and nobody came to my room looking for me.
I didn't read any that came in last night, but they said that they did call the cops last night.
They did?
Yeah, they said
So what?
They said they did, and there was no answer at your room door.
Nobody
They
knocked
said-
on my
They
door.
said that they knocked on, the cops went knocking a door, and they were called because of the odor of marijuana in the hotel.
I would.
There is not an odor of
I
marijuana in the
would believe
hotel
that.
room. There is
I'm just telling you
sage.
why they called.
I understand.
And I can-
don't
I-
think-
There was sage because I
Many
must
people will
smudge
mistake-
daily because of
and
what I've
people
gone
mistake
through.
that
There's,
for
we're
marijuana.
definitely smudging. It's her
Yeah.
spiritual right, and maybe that.
There was
happened,
not
but
a
I
call
say-
for marijuana.
Or I mean, maybe they called, but I was up till 3 in the morning trying to help her print this out, and we didn't have any interactions with law enforcement. If they came to the door, we would have opened it.
That's
So
fine.
I don't remember that happening.
And we can't say yay or nay because we didn't check the calls from last night, but
I'm
that's
saying-
just what they said.
I hear
Well,
what
no
you're
way
saying.
am
I
I
just
trying to
wanna
avoid
remind
the
that we
situation,
tried
so-
to dialogue with them and understand the situation, and they're like, we don't want to talk about it, and I'm like, okay. So
I was burning sage in the room. Yes, I was,
Correct.
and I will
people
continue
do
to burn
mistake that
sage
for
daily.
The smell of weed
For sure.
sometimes.
They just don't
do.
like us.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah, I got
don't
it.
like us.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna find something. I'm like, okay.
So if they did call the police, I do not wish to flee the scene before you can talk to me and interview me. And while you're here, I would like to make my official complaint and statement against Jared Day, Gina Obexon, Ashley Bates, Heather Oja, and Danielle Lemieux.
Okay, where do all of them live at?
Jared Day, to the best of my knowledge, lives in Eau Claire area.
Okay,
Ashley Bates lives in Bad River.
okay,
Gina Obexon lives here in Ashland on Chapel Avenue.
okay.
Heather Oja and Danielle Lemieux. Danielle Lemieux, to the best of my knowledge, lives on Bad River. Heather Oja, I do not know, but I would suspect is also from the Bad River community.
And this is all in response to they've initiated harassment. They've all initiated contact with law enforcement. We're not initiating this conflict. There is no conflict. There's a tragedy.
Yes.
This woman, my sister, is trying to mourn, and every day.
Every
Every
day,
day.
it's fucking harassment,
It is
not
harassment.
stop.
They're pushing somebody to the edge. It's not okay.
My
I'm a
life
witness
and
to
my
it.
liberty is under constant threat daily by these people.
I don't live up here anymore, but I couldn't see how someone would want to live here after all this.
And I can't leave
It's
because my
embarrassing.
vehicle's being held for me.
Correct. So we
Because
want-
of the
And that's it,
harassment.
and that's it.
Jared Day had no authority to get me locked out of that storage unit. He's not even on the contract.
Correct.
I have a legally binding contract.
And you said that's with the, what'd you call the storage? That's just
Wintergreen.
Wintergreen. Okay.
And I have photos. I have photos of what that storage looked like when I got there. It was empty. I've been asking Brett since June, where is all my stuff? Because I believe Jared Day is in possession of stolen property because Brett ripped me off this summer. And I don't know where all my stuff is because it's not in our shared unit.
Okay.
And
you've
it's
talked
not
to
in my
and
possession.
You've talked to the county about this?
I'm sorry. I talked to the county about being in fear for my life, and my vehicle being withheld from me with my personal property in it. The vehicle was purchased, and
Any vehicles in that storage unit, you said?
correct.
Right.
And
And I'm
it's
being
house?
denied access, so I can't even get my own clothes out of there. That's where my basic needs are, including my identification.
So we have it documented via film. There
And
was-
I'm born overseas, so if, without my identification, it takes me over a year. It takes me 1 year for me to get a copy of my birth certificate from the Navy, because I was born overseas as an American citizen, because my father was based in Scotland at the time. So in order for me to even get a copy to replace my identification, it's going to take over a year. It takes me less to fight for my property, which is in my name, and I have a contract with storage, and it's a civil
Right.
matter.
Yeah.
And as far as the vehicles are concerned, that is a civil matter as well, but nobody has the authority to call it in stolen. But if there's a stolen vehicle report against me, I wish to address that now so we can resolve that issue.
Do you know about it?
There's not. She tried to make one, but they didn't take it because it's
Okay.
not. You're right. It's a civil matter. So so whoever she called didn't take it because she was advised that it's a civil matter.
Gina?
Jean. She
Gina
tried.
Olbixson?
Yes. She tried calling about it.
Okay, Gino Olbixson has no authority over that vehicle or me.
Well, right,
So this
right.
is
And
this
that's
is to add to
She
the
just sticks her
harassment.
nose in the places
Yes.
that-
See, Gino Olbixson is really pissed at me because I wouldn't let her get money on Brett's death, and because I wouldn't let her joyride his car back and forth to Lakota Ray, which I do not have the authority to do so until until that blue car is determined by a court where it should go civilly.
Really quick, because these guys are helping us right now.
I'm sorry,
No,
I
no,
do
no,
not
you're
mean to
good.
yell at you. I'm
No,
just,
you're
I'm
fine.
under duress. This is a
Right,
daily
right,
thing.
right.
My partner committed suicide
So
on October
how-
10th,
how
but this is
did
almost
you-
a month of this
Yeah,
harassment.
did you guys pick up the restraining orders yet? No.
We, so we have all the documents, we have a lawyer, and they're helping us
Okay.
file all that, but basically.
Can you give me an emergency one?
Yeah, is there
No,
a way to make
that's
to
out of our
expedite it?
that's out of our hands as long as
Are you able to contact these people and advise them that they are to cease harassment until further
the only
notice?
one that we'd be able to contact is Gino Blexen because she's in the city.
Right.
Anybody outside of the city is not our jurisdiction.
Okay, well, I would appreciate if you could contact Gina
Yeah.
Olbexen and advise her that she is to cease and to cease and desist all harassment and
Any contact
malicious
with
actions
you.
towards me, as she has no claim to any of this.
Yeah.
And can I add to that? So when I came from out of town to support my sister, I have no knowledge
Plus she owes
of
me
this
money.
person before I got here, and they're clearly they have a lot going on, and it seems like they have a lot of interaction with law enforcement about I don't know what, lots of random stuff, but we wish to have no interaction with these people.
I
We wanna
wish-
pick up our life and be done with it, and it seems like they're antagonizing. We're like trying to make. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but
I
stop
wish
it.
to also make the record on this regarding Gina Olbexen. Gina Olbexen, at the end of August, had guaranteed me a room for $300 a month, which she did not follow through with through the Bayview Motel. But she had told me that they wouldn't have an opening for a month, and that I would need to pay her $300 to have a room at her house, which is really a filthy, disgraced mess and not fit for living. So I did, out of desperation, pay her that $300, which she was supposed to reimburse me, because 2 days later I answered Brett's call to tobacco when he came back to me and admitted that he was having an affair, and came back with tobacco. I forgave him and I accepted that tobacco because I'm traditional, and they told me if I can accept tobacco with a good heart and I can do what's being asked of me, I cannot refuse it by spiritual commitments. So I followed that commitment and I accepted that tobacco because in my heart I could, and I knew it. And so Gina was supposed to refund me the $300. In the meantime, she had me pay for the very phone she's harassing me with in order for her to call people and contact them to help me, in order for Crow to get here and other people to get here to help me, because I was laying on her floor being traumatized. I left the force drugged, gassed, and poisoned and in complete medical shock. At which time I went to the emergency room and then returned to her home. When I returned to her home, I spent days on the floor listening to her talk about her dead baby, her boyfriend that committed suicide, and telling me gruesome details. See, when I found my partner humbled at the door, I saw the blood by his head, and I walked away. I said no more. I cannot unsee what will be seen, and I have to survive this. Gina Olbexen has given great details on the phone, time and time again, begging people for money, which she was not authorized to do, giving them details about how he's pretty much emptied out in there, that there was tarps down, and all these things that I didn't need to know or live with. Well, she continued to do this over and over again while I was in shock, and I continued to tell her to stop. So because I will not allow her to gain money off of my love's death, because I will not give her free reign over his private property, she has taken nothing but hostile actions against me, both in the public forum and with constant police harassment, to the point the Washburn police were hunting me down for a bench warrant while I was in the woods, while I was already on the phone with the clerk of courts trying to make an appearance in court, because I could not make it to court because I was in the woods, drugged over a month, being in the woods without service. There is no cell phone service in Birch Grove to call the courts, to get on Skype or whatever, Zoom, whatever it is, in order to appear to court. So these were extenuating circumstances due to the abuse that the psychological abuse and the attempted murder that my partner had tried. Now, on top of that, I am trying to survive all this. I have to admit that man loved me greatly through a very sick mind. He did not try to kill me out of hate. He tried to kill me out of pure sickness. Even he was telling me he was sick. I didn't understand what was going on because I was disorientated from poison, drugs, and gassing. So, I just wish to make the record that Gina Obexon is not a homeless advocate. Furthermore, she has released she has publicly posted my name, my legal name, my date of birth, where I was born. She has opened me and subjected me to easily having my identity stolen and fraudulent activity being done. In the meantime, I found out that her daughters used my charge card in order to pay their phone bills. So, in addition to being in debt with me over $450, Gina let me lay there on her floor in shock, suffering. I wasn't even able to cook myself any food or take a bath. The place was so horrendous that Dave Erling had to be called in to clean the tub out for me to even bathe. In the meantime of all of this, I'm sorry, there's just so much. Through all the horrendous activity that she's caused, these are just malicious. This is just malice. She has no claim to any of these things. She is just using the police to harass me at this point. I guess she's really scared that her gig is up, that she hustles money, claiming to help homeless people so that she can run to the casino on nightly trips.
She initiated interaction with law enforcement.
Oh, she's also reported me for donation fraud when my donations can be completely justified to the people, because anything that I have ever rallied to the people for, whether it be a room or my vehicle, which Jared Day himself donated to, anything like that, the money that was allotted from the people has been spent exactly as the people sent it for. It has never been used for anything other than what I had asked for help with. So the harassment, the possible identity theft, the credit card fraud, the malice behavior. Oh, so that's what I was trying to explain. She actually had me sitting there all these days in the same clothes that I found my partner in at camp. The day that my sister here came to pick me up, to meet me out at the site where I lost my partner, Gina Obexon gave me a bag of clothes, a toothbrush, and a razor, and then made claims that I stole these things. Now, I cannot return these things because, well, I'm not going to Gina's house. We also tried to make arrangements with her to return the laundry rack she bought the day my partner was committing suicide, because that's where I was. See, I wasn't even in the same county. But a lot of people don't know that. I'm going to make public knowledge right now. My partner committed suicide at Birch Grove Campground in Bayfield County. I was at Gina Obexon's house, terrified for my life, refusing to stay because I saw him turn the propane tanks on and I had no fuel or anything out there to survive, and I didn't want to be out there in the dark alone, abandoned with nothing. Plus, he had my credit card, so I had no way to buy myself any supplies, including gasoline for my generator. So terrified, I fled to Gina's, and Gina left me in those same clothes for days. She also, that same day, we didn't get out to the campsite back out there until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was dusk. And the reason we didn't get out there is because she had to go to this person's house. It might have been a drug run for all I know. She said she went to go see an elders. But I'm going to be honest, the reason I had my sister come and extract me out of there, I'm just going to be honest, I have no proof of this, but I believe that Gina is connected to crime, including drug dealing, and I did not want to be in any place where I possibly could be incriminated for anything, anybody else's illegal or fraudulent activity. So as I called for an extraction of these things, she bought a drying rack that day from an online thing. So after we had to run to this elder's house, and after we went to go pick up the drying rack that she got from this online auction on Facebook, is when we finally made it out to the campsite. She has made claims that I stole her drying rack and the saw that I borrowed to saw wood for a fire for my partner, which is tradition, and that I stole these clothes. All those things are not true, and I'm unable to return them to her because she's constantly harassing me.
Okay.
Correct.
So we're going to talk to Jean Oblex and talk to her and tell her to stay off of you. No more contacting, no more calls, no more nothing, no more harassment. When you're able to get her belongings at some point, if you want to drop them off at the PD, we can get them to
You
her.
got it. We'll drop them off later today.
Okay, that's fine. So you can do that. That way we can get that to her, so that stuff's done, right?
What would you like me to do with the blue car?
Is that the one that's in the storage unit?
No, that's
No.
my vehicle. The blue car was my partner's.
What's that?
The one that's at the clinic.
Oh, okay. One that's
The blue car is my partner's, and it's a civil matter, but there's nothing I can do with it because I have no claim to it until I can go to court.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do with the blue car.
Everything's in a standstill until you get to court.
Right. So if the car's being carted, I don't. David Erling claimed that Jared Day again contacted him again. I'm getting third-party harassment from Jared Day from David Erling, who I have now blocked and am no longer communicating with as of last night. Claimed to me that Jared has called in Brett Parker's car stolen, which she has no authority to do so. Nobody does. But it was actually Gina, I guess. But I guess the bottom line is, what do y'all want me to do with Brett's car until I can handle things civilly?
Well, it's just going to have to stay there till then.
That's why I haven't moved it.
And that's fine with us.
All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Going to-
It'll all just depend on if the clinic doesn't want it there. Then at that point they could tow it.
You know, if they
But-
tow it, there's nothing I can do about it because I'm not touching it right now.
Like, is this okay? Or
What would you recommend that I do legally?
here we go.
Yeah.
Legally?
From law enforcement, not legal advice as an attorney, what would you like to see me do as a police officer regarding this matter?
With which one?
So I can, the car,
The car.
the blue car.
The blue car, if it was, it was your partners, you could talk to the clinic and see what they, if they want it moved,
Okay.
then they'll have to get it moved.
Okay.
If you don't want to be touched, on the
Right.
monkey with it, you can have them move it.
All right.
Okay, what will happen is they'll call us, we'll put a parking ticket on it, and a tow truck will come and take it. You'll be notified where it's at, so that once you get the court stuff taken care of,
I'm gonna be honest, at this point, I feel the blue car is better off in police custody at this time until these things are handled.
So just for the record.
But under your recommendation,
won't
I am
be-
going to try to get
actually,
it moved to a safe location.
Just so you know, it won't be in our custody.
Right.
Okay, it'll be in a tow truck
Right.
custody.
Okay.
A towing company.
But
All right.
a private lot. That's
A
not
private
ours,
lot,
so-
Okay.
they'll have responsibility.
But just for the record, Gina Olbixson tried to report the vehicle stolen, but she has no authority to do that.
And she was told that by law enforcement.
And she was also told that by law enforcement.
Yeah.
And
Saying that again.
kind
And
of
also,
what's-
I was arrested for this bench warrant. She's going around telling people that was them hunting me down over murder charges. My partner's death was deemed a suicide by the investigators and the police immediately. At no point has foul play ever been a question, and that is from the lead investigator, Brent Bradley, who I continually tried to contact for over a week and a half straight. Even Brent Bradley, who finally came to see me while I was on that bench warrant because I continued to tell the deputies I wanted to speak to him. And what I didn't know is the whole reason that cop was sitting there firearm happy on me is because Gina Olbixson's harassing the police, giving them false statements. So
And
this
also,
guy...
The Bayfield County Police are the ones that dropped Brett off in
Correct.
the woods.
They were the last ones to see him.
The last people to see Brett was the Bayfield County Police.
Well, I was in a completely different county at the time, fleeing for my life and safety.
So what's going on here today then?
Here they just want them gone.
We already left. I
But
do
just
wish...
just off the property and everything. Once we're done here, they just want you guys to just.
That's fine. I do want
That's all.
a piece of documentation, even if it's through your own reports, that the reason I was denied service and harassed by police to leave, I was peacefully leaving. Why were the police called on me?
Well, they don't have to give us a reason why, and they don't need a written reason why. They just have the right to refuse service to anybody.
That's fine,
so
but why were the
if-
police called on me if I was peacefully leaving?
Well, when you got here, you were still here, so, and I understand you stayed here because you don't want to say you were fleeing. That's fine.
Correct. I'm not.
You know,
The
and I
police
get that.
harassment is out of control. Somebody needs to step in. Police harassment is abuse. It is abuse of your service, and it is an abuse to me.
So what we'll do is, you guys are all packed up already? Was your
Yeah,
car?
I've just been sitting here waiting for
Yeah,
you.
we're done.
All right, and then we're gonna try to get a hold of Jenna here and talk to her some more and stuff and tell her to cease and desist from, you know, any contact with you at all. And
I don't
you-
want to have contact with you, but I can. I'm
She
fine.
get the names
I'm
and stuff?
fine.
Oh,
Okay.
also, Gina Obexon. Gina Obexon has my printer. I wish to have my printer and my medical records and my police documentation from the night of Brett's death on October 10th, which she is withholding and using this information all over the internet.
That's fine.
Okay. And you can ask her for that stuff. We can't legally go in there and take it. You know,
No, but you
that's-
can please make
we
note
can-
that
we
my
can
my
ask her.
printer, my medical documentation, and police documentation is stolen property from me right now in Gina Obexon's. You might not be able to determine stolen, but I'm telling you, I'm reporting to you, Gina Obexon has stole my medical documentation, my police documentation from that night, and my printer. And my credit card information.
Did you cancel them cards in or?
I sure did.
Okay, good.
I reported both the numbers and the card stolen.
What,
Just
do you know
wanna
what kind of
reiterate
printer is it?
that all of these people.
It's a Canon. I
Okay.
don't remember the exact model. It's
But
a
Canon.
printer scanner Canon.
Okay. And then can I get, just for my records here, can I get your first name?
GEOR
Geor.
GINA, middle initial L,
Okay.
S name CHOJ, N as in Nancy, ACKI. I refer to as Niimi, NIIMI,
And-
Makoons.
Well, hang on, you're.
I'm sorry.
You gotta slow down a bit. So
I'm
it's
sorry.
Niimi?
I'm under a lot of stress,
Yeah.
man. I'm
So
sorry.
it's N-I, what?
N as in Nancy, I, M as in Mary, I, MAKOONS.
Okay.
That is who I am, Niimi Makoons. My colonial name is only used for business purposes, which I should also take the time to remind everybody that I retain all rights to my name and image. I am a secured party. My name is not only a registered trademark and is registered, but it has furthermore been registered through the Attorney General himself, who returned my request with 3 seals after me paying him $20. The Attorney General of the United States, after me paying $20 for him to make it public notice. So it should further be acknowledged that I am Niimi Makoons and Georgina Shinaki is my legal name,
Okay.
but it is only used
What
for
do you- what do you
business
like to be called,
transactions.
like, when you're talking to me? What do you like to
Niimi.
be- Niimi? Okay. What is your birthday?
June 20 of 1974.
6/27. Okay, and is there a phone number for you to get a hold of you?
715. Can I write it down for you?
Huh?
Can I write it down for you?
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Well, I got, what, you don't want to say it out loud or?
Right.
Correct.
Gotcha. Know what the COVID stuff
Here,
is.
turn